We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism.
August of 1998, a young man named Robert James Ritchie released his fourth studio album, which ended up becoming his breakthrough into the mainstream. Bob had previously released 3 albums, which sold less than 200,000 copies combined. Basically, his music career was in the pooper. Hell, at this point, you couldn't even call it a career. Music was simply a hobby for Bob. It was something that he did for fun after his shift at Goodwill. August of 98. Bob Ritchie was suddenly elevated into the mainstream. He was better known as Kid Rock. In his fourth studio album, Devil Without a Cause, it sold 11 million records. There were a lot of memorable songs on the album, but one song that often gets overlooked, Only God Knows Why. It's more of a ballad. It's a slower song, especially when compared to everything else on the album. But there's a line in the song that perfectly illustrates what's happening right now in New York City. Towards the end of the song, Kid Rock says, "You get what you put in, and people get what they deserve." For months, New Yorkers were warned about Zohran Mamdani. But my name is Zohran!
It doesn't matter what your name is!
For months, conservative media, and even some in the mainstream media, they warned New Yorkers about the dangers of voting for an Islamist. Well, I'm not an Islamist. I'm not a communist either. I'm a democratic socialist. You can call it whatever you want. You can put a double coat of polish on this turd, but the end result is always the same. Whether it's socialism, communism, Islamism, when you remove the polish from the ideological turd, you're left with the failed concept of collectivism, which means the collective, also known as the state, the government, or as they prefer to disguise it, the people. The collective is more important than the individual. The individual exists only to serve the state. Historically, if you look at the vast majority of communist leaders, they all have one thing in common. They're extremely lazy. They don't want to work. Karl Marx was notoriously lazy. He was a bum. Most of them described themselves as community organizers. And in the case of Zohran Mamdani, to my knowledge, Zorro has never had a real job. If you look at the work experience category of his resume, it's blank. And that's assuming that Zorro has a resume. Why would he need a resume if he's never applied for a job? But like all communists who have never built a damn thing, who have never created a single job or generated an Ethiopian breadcrumb in revenue, like all communists, Zohran Mamdani wants to tell high achievers, he wants to tell rich people what to do with their money. And what I mean by that, Zohran Mamdani wants to take their money and use it to further his agenda. Throughout history, we have countless examples of communism not working. In 48 hours into Zohran Mamdani's term as mayor of New York City, native New Yorkers, they are already regretting their decision. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Yesterday on the second channel, talked about the abysmal attendance at the college football playoff game in Miami, or as ESPN prefers to call it, the Orange Bowl. There were thousands of empty seats. I explained why this further proves that the current system is broken, and we offer a simple solution to the attendance problem. So if you haven't already, Click the link in the description or the pinned comment below and subscribe to the second channel. According to NPR, thousands of people stood outside in freezing temperatures on Wednesday to watch their hero be sworn into office. Now, of course, Zohran Mamdani, he refused to be sworn into office by placing his hand on the Bible. Why would he swear to protect the Constitution? Why would he swear to lead a Christian nation, Christian city, by placing his hand on the Bible? Instead of the Bible, Zorro was sworn into office by placing his hand on the Quran. According to The Hollywood Reporter, there were plenty of stars in attendance to celebrate the transformation of New York City into an Islamic paradise. Check out some of these A-listers. M.S. Rachel, or maybe it's Miss Rachel, Lou Guzman, the kid Miro. Who, and who? Maybe Uncle Casey is out of touch, but I've never heard of these people. I looked up the kid Miro. He is a 42-year-old man who I guess is choosing to identify as a kid. Maybe he has dreams of becoming a high school basketball star, dreams which are now possible in Zorro's utopian paradise. The inauguration of Zohran Mamdani, it was classified as a block party. If you've ever been to a block party, the organizers of the event, they usually provide the necessities, things like food, drinks, chairs, tables. They rent porta potties from the WNBA dump. If you attend a really nice block party, they might provide those stand-up heaters, stand-up furnaces. Unfortunately for attendees at Zorro's block party, the same attendees that were promised free bus service, free health care, free education, free masculine thongs, the only thing free at Zorro's block party was the freezing oxygen they were breathing into their lungs. And that's for those who were lucky enough to be breathing oxygen. My inside sources, they were on the ground, and they told me that the boodle breeze was so strong, it was so significant at Zorro's block party, many attendees left with severe migraines from breathing in toxic gas. Supporters of Zohran Mamdani, they complained about the lack of amenities at his block party. There was no food, no drinks, no bathrooms. If I had to guess, these amenities weren't provided because no one was willing to pay for it. It was a classic case of communism. It was probably a sign of things to come for New York City. Communism sounds great in theory. When your doofus college professor, who shares a commonality with Zohran Mamdani, since both of them combined have created zero revenue streams. When your doofus college professor convinces you that communism is great, it sounds like a great system. It sounds like a system where people take care of each other. Sharing is caring. But communism always runs into the same problem. The rich people the communists are depending on to fund their utopian dreams, the businesses, the corporations they are counting on to pay exorbitant taxes, the upper middle class families, or in this case, the upper middle class white families that Zohran Mamdani wants to tax into bankruptcy, all of those people leave. When those people leave, not only do you lose the tax revenue, you also lose the jobs they create, which means the free buses that Zorro promised are completely empty. No one needs a ride to work because they no longer have a job. But according to Bernard Sanders, or as AOC LGBT prefers to call him, Uncle Bernie, AOC, it's easy as LGB, it's easy as TQI, AOC, LGB, all buses are free. According to Uncle Bernie, everything Uncle KC is telling you about Zohran Mamdani is lies and propaganda. Watch for yourself.
Zohran's opponents have called the agenda that he campaigned on radical, communistic, and absolutely unachievable. That's not what we believe. In the richest country in the history of the world, making sure that people can live in affordable housing is not radical. It is the right and decent thing to do.
Once again, communists are using a real crisis and pretending they have the ultimate solution. Yes, there is a housing crisis in America. Yes, home prices are unaffordable to young people. But what communists don't tell you about their solution, that pesky little detail that they conveniently leave out, their housing solution, it is to put you into a commune. Sounds nice, right? Maybe you're a young man or a young woman who dreams of the suburban house with a white picket fence. Zohran Mamdani, he can make those dreams come true. Communists, they will put a nice fence around the property, but it's not designed to keep people out. The fence is designed to keep you in. Communists build these massive complexes that include tiny apartments for you and your family. They provide the basic necessities for free. Rent is free, utilities are free, meals are free, but you're living in an apartment that's smaller than my walk-in closet, and you're sharing amenities with your neighbors. Sounds nice, huh? Believe it or not, I think Zohran Mamdani is going to be a good thing for America. 5, maybe 10 years from now, I think we will look back at the brief administration of Zohran Mamdani, and it will be remembered as the moment that normal people in America finally woke up. Just think about everything that's happened already since Zorro became mainstream over the summer. The Muslim Brotherhood, it's been banned in Texas, and it's essentially been banned across the country. Organizations like CARE are being investigated and hopefully will soon be dismantled. Right now, there is a massive fraud scandal in the Islamic Republic of Minnesota. Nearly 100 people have already been arrested, and Tim Walz could and should be next. And Omar Elon could potentially be deported. It's going to be a long 4 years for New York City, but it could be great for Dallas, could be great for Florida. Normal New Yorkers, they will get the hell out of there. And the people who voted for Zohran Mamdani over the next 4 years, they will get exactly what they wanted and exactly what they deserve. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.